down to just 2 players with a bomb down.
Falsey finding 3, 4. Will we see the ace from Falsey this round?
Welcome to Showstopper, BU Gaming's collegiate Valorant podcast. I'm your host, Gabriel Moncau. Today, joining me as he always does is my co-host Phillip Tran, who apparently is actually labeled as Gabriel Moncau, so let me do something about that. How are you, Phillip?
Wow. I'm doing great. How are you, Gabe? Or should I say Phillip, apparently.
Oh, there we go. Don't worry. The mishap has been straightened out. And I'm actually doing okay. Much better now that I am no longer you. It was actually kind of a pain to be you, so I don't wish that
A little
upon
freaky.
anybody.
Anyways.
Oh, for
yeah.
sure.
Let's move
And we
past
also
that.
have a very special guest here with us today. We have Mr. BFK Bobber, Steve Kim. How are you, my guy?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Thank you
I'm gonna
for
be honest.
inviting me.
Yeah, of course, no problem. Glad you could make it. And I have to be honest,
Yeah.
I don't really know what kind of agent to like introduce you as. Normally, I'd be like, oh, here he's Falsia, he's like a jet main. He plays some Phoenix sometimes too, on the A team. You're just kind of like an all rounder, right? But you typically play Sova for the B team.
Right. Correct.
Okay. I don't know. Have we had any other Sova players on here?
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
right.
This will be our first.
Well, actually, do we
Sova.
even have any other Sova players on the teams, like at all?
I think Namor plays.
Namor plays
Sova.
Sova.
Oh,
That's-
Namor. Yeah, okay. Because
Yep.
the A team doesn't
One of our
have one,
subs.
so that's definitely special.
Then
And
who do
we
you guys
have
play with. You don't have a Sova on your
Well,
team. How can you compete?
We just kind of shoot people. I'm gonna be honest.
Right.
We just kind of shoot them. Like, I don't
Nah,
know. And
dude.
by we, I mean Daniil. But like, I like to say we to make me feel better. But we have quite a bit to cover today. Not nearly as much as last time, because last time's update was kind of absurd. But we did have a patch come out since our last Showstopper episode, patch 2.01, not 0.1. And it's not massive, but it has brought some fairly large changes in one area.
Yeah.
To split. So I'm going to pull up those patch notes now. Do you want to sort of walk us through them, Phillip?
Absolutely. And hello to the chat. Yeah, reading for CS 112 is not worth it. It's all about Showstopper. Anyways, let's go ahead and look at what changes patch 2.01 have brought for Valorant. The first and foremost change is Jett, actually. Her smoke duration has decreased from 7 to 4.5 seconds. And then there are a whole slew of changes to Split. A lot with opening up the B garage area. Also extending the spike plant area to extend into the B garage sight line. There's also now this box on the side of the pillar, on the heaven side of the pillar. And a lot of the CT cubbies are now not as deep. They're a little shallower now. Then let's move on to the changes that they've done with the mid part of Split here. So vents now a little wider, and now there's like a slanted left wall, which kind of gets rid of like a 50-50 check you got to do if somebody's hiding in that corner. What else have they done with mid? Oh yeah, market. The market area used to have a wall where there were some like seats there. That place has been totally removed. So that's a little harder for defenders or whatever hiding that little corner to get you. And let's see what else. There's a little sewer cubby that's been decreased in depth. There's a few changes on A as well, with Heaven being reworked so that it's a little more open, and the value of Heaven is a little more or the value of like holding ramp is a little more valuable. And what else have they had? Honestly,
think
just
mostly,
very
yeah.
minor changes. That's pretty much
Yeah.
it. I mean, they've kind of increased the cubby depth on A slightly, and there used to be this little like cubby right next to screens that they've kind of buffed out with like a rounded pillar.
Right. And I will say, this does
Yeah.
sound, I mean, even though we saw them on the stream here, it really did just sound like a lot of small changes that might not have an impact, right? But when you have that many changes all on the same map, I say Split feels rather different. What do you guys think? Have you gotten a chance to play it yet?
Oh yeah, it's very. I feel like it's very attacker sided now. Like, I don't know. It's just so hard to defend A side, especially for me. I think.
Yeah, and that was their goal, right? They said they wanted to make it more attacker-sided because it was just, like,
Yeah.
if you got, like, 3 rounds on attack before, like, that was considered good. So I can definitely see why they would want to rebalance that a bit. I've been kind of trying to avoid it, to be honest. It looks a
Yeah.
little terrifying to me.
Have
It
you been playing a
is.
lot of this map? Or
Me?
have
No.
you gotten it in your queues? No, really.
No, I
But-
mean, do you even ever get, like, split in your queues? I feel like people still dodge split, especially new
yeah.
split.
Well, dodging. Yeah, I've never really dodged I mean, I see a lot more dodges for Icebox. I think people are willing to tolerate Split, honestly. And I
Maybe
have
by
been playing a
comparison,
little
no.
bit of it. Yeah. I mean, I have been playing a little Split, and I gotta say, all these changes are just a little weird. It makes the map feel different. And I think it was honestly kind of a welcome change to how defense-sided Split was. And it does open up a little more options for defenders to push through, or sorry, attackers to push through. Though that being said, I still don't have too much problem with as a defender on Split. I don't know what you guys think
Yeah.
about it. I mean, you guys are playing what? Gabe, you play Omen. BFK, I know
Yeah.
you fill every character, but I'm normally a Killjoy player now. Well, I used to be a Cypher player. Then I realized that's not how I roll. So I'm playing a lot of Killjoy now, and I mean, locking down B Garage is just about the same to me, honestly.
Right.
Um, Mid is a little weird now that Vent is a little easier to attack, honestly. I don't know.
Mhm.
I
I
think.
feel like
Sorry. Go
oh
ahead.
sorry. Okay. Like the B main entrance got wider, so Cypher players actually can't do the
Exactly.
The one-way
one-way
cages.
thing
Yeah.
anymore. The cage. So I think that's a really good thing to add. Because before
Yeah.
like the Cypher cage would just screw up every attack through B main. So everyone would always go A or just take control of mid. But like after you control mid, what are you gonna do? You can't really go A or B because they're
Yeah.
like huge, like tiny choke points where anyone could throw nades, anything to stop you from going to any site.
Yeah.
It really
I think it
felt
definitely
like
opens up the map.
It really felt to
Yeah.
me, at least, like if you play like a Viper, a Cypher, and like a Killjoy on defense side split, you 12-0. Viper just controls Heaven, so they can't split B. Cypher just controls B main, so they can't take that. And then Killjoy just controls A, so they can't take that. And then you slapped a Neil on Arena or whatever, and you have like a Phoenix or something, or a Breach if you want to be even worse. And it's just like you just win. Like, what are you supposed to do? Especially with that one way for Viper at mid, which I think is still there even in this update. But
Mhm.
so I will say, yeah, definitely. I think you guys have hit the main points absolutely on the head with the B main changes, because I think, I mean, they've changed some things at A, but mostly the problem before was not that people loved to take A, it's just that people hated to take B, and
Right.
now it seems a lot more
It's a little,
doable to me.
yeah, it is a little easier to take B, honestly. Taking B through Garage was always a pain in the neck, but now that things have been widened out, Cyphers can't really do that one-way cage too effectively, and you can kind of bait Killjoy's utility still if a Killjoy is playing on B. So definitely
Right.
a welcome change, and it makes a B push more attractive. I mean, most of the times I would just avoid Garage completely and go for mid control and push through Heaven if we really wanted to take B, and maybe play one or two Garage
I definitely
if we
still
really
think that's
wanted to
meta,
pressure them.
is like that full-on mid control on split. I still definitely think that's going to be the play. The question now then, I guess, is if the B takes are more viable, but then ropes takes are also more viable, which do you think you're going to see people going for more often? These A splits, which I think were really rare before, if at all. Like, people just really didn't take ropes because going down that rope
Right.
area is just such a death wish. Or do we think they're going to be going more towards those B takes through Garage? I'm actually not sure.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, in the game I was playing actually earlier before this podcast started with Pystrom, I did some hilarious stuff with the ropes on Vent where I just put an alarm bot down and a nade. Just that's it. I shut down vents, and they would go down the vent, get naded, freak out, couldn't get out in time, died. And
Yeah.
so I'm thinking more teams. I mean, I've seen this a little bit in higher level play where they just leave vents open, just put a nade in there or an alarm bot, and just have somebody play Heaven. Just leave vents open.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of always been a pain in the neck to attack through vents.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I
that's
think
gonna
so.
really change.
I don't
It's
think the changes are going
gonna
to change
be
that really.
through Heaven. I mean, I still do A takes through vents because it's fun. And I mean,
Unless
during
you're
raid,
playing
nobody
against a
locks
Killjoy,
down vents.
apparently.
Nobody locks down vents that way. Like they just don't. It's pretty much free when you get that kill off a vent.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
That's interesting. And I guess the other question then is, do you think that this is going to change what agents we see people playing on split? I think Cypher is the obvious one, right? Like that one might see a lot less usage now that you can't throw those one ways on B really. You can still do it if you
Right.
throw two
Yeah.
of them, right? Because the
I
spot is
think
still up there.
Yeah,
I
but
have
it's
no
kind of a waste.
It
Because
is.
You
Mostly
want
two
just one there
cages.
too.
Yeah.
You just
No,
used
it
all your
definitely
joy.
You're wasting two cages, which is expensive.
don't think it's going to be done, but it is possible. It is possible. So I guess we're gonna see that nerfed. I don't think we're gonna see many Cypher players. I think Killjoy is still like a very good pick on split, mostly for controlling A. I see Killjoy mains a lot, and yeah, I think everything else is pretty much gonna stay the same. What do you think? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Bobber. if you
Pretty
have
much.
anything.
Yeah, I don't think that'll
Yeah,
change too
I don't
much.
really,
I don't
I don't
really- yeah,
see
I
any
think
like
I just
massive
agree.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like though with Killjoy, I guess I find locking down B with Killjoy a lot more fun.
Really? I never see Killjoys playing B.
Really?
Like
You
ever.
don't?
No.
Oh,
They're
I
always on
gotta
A.
get you down on my setup. Yeah, I don't know. I just never really liked playing A as a Killjoy ever. Not because it just wasn't
Mm.
as fun. I just liked playing around site B, looking towards garage
Yeah.
or even taking heaven actually, and taking mid control with
Mm.
somebody. If
I'm
we're
a
not
B
playing against
anchor
a server.
typically, so I definitely understand the will to play B. And I guess something else that we got to talk about before we move on from the update, which was something we kind of glanced over because there were so many split changes, but the Jet smoke duration change. Jet used to have her smokes last 7 seconds, I believe, right? And now it's 4.5.
4.5, which
Right.
just barely
That's
covers you enough for a plant,
yeah.
and it's basically not enough if you're trying to defuse, which is very interesting.
I've heard a lot of complaints from Jet players. And by Jet players, I mean like Falsia, but I've heard a lot of complaints from Falsia.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that they'd be happy. I mean, I understand why Riot did it. I think people were using Jet smokes as a replacement for like Omen or
Yeah.
Brim smokes a lot of
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
But to me, they always more like just felt as like a quick pop smoke to quickly rush down, like hold off an angle while you rush through or something. Like they weren't meant to stay there for very long. They're
Yeah.
just meant
Yeah.
for you to block off a sight line and get better positioning.
I guess it just almost seems useless to me now, though, because, well, to be fair, Jet is a very selfish character, so I guess it was always intended for you to use it for your own gain, not for like a team play sort of gain necessarily.
Yeah.
But it's just like you can't sneak an entire team past an angle with 4 seconds. Like you physically
No.
cannot walk across an angle in 4 seconds with like a whole
Right,
team.
right.
So it's really only useful now, I feel like, for what Phillip just described. You're in a situation where you want to get better positioning and you smoke off an angle and go somewhere. And even then, I'm not sure if you can walk across in that time. You'd have to run probably.
Yeah,
So you can
gotcha.
get better positioning,
And-
but they'll hear you. It's kind of a
Right.
trade-off.
Or you can waste another smoke and smoke it again.
That's
mean,
true. They would
it
see where it
kinda-
came
it
from,
do-
though, right?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
definitely like, do I use this smoke for myself or do I use 2 of them and get the team across,
That's true. You could have more of a lurker type Jet where she sort of sits in the back and just keeps re-smoking as they cross or something and watches for the push through it or something. But that just
Pretty
sounds so
interesting.
dumb to me. A lurking
That's-
Jet? I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
Jet would be using his smokes more for one ways now, like because
Oh,
I don't
maybe.
think they would want to use that for getting past an angle or anything anymore. It's like all one ways from now on.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Like if you time it
Mhm.
just right, it could still be very effective as a one-way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to get that timing so right now, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to be fair, I don't think the Jet smokes were ever her most powerful ability or anything like that, or the reason why people picked her. So I don't think it'll change Jet players much. It's more just like that's not good. It's like a
that's-
small inconvenience, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
just
Yeah.
like-
feels kind of bad. Yeah.
Do you think it's gonna actually dissuade people from playing Jet?
No, not in the
I don't think
slightest.
so.
No
No
way.
I still see
No
insta lock
way.
Jets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I still think so, yeah.
And
I mean, maybe how often would you see a Jet player that was focused on utility? Like if you're a utility player, you play like
Oh, never.
You're gonna play Omen or Breach or something.
yeah, something like Omen, yeah. I don't
If
know.
you're I mean, Jet is always about getting the quick kill.
Right.
That's pretty much Jet. Peak and win. And
Yeah.
I don't think this really changes anything for how Jet is supposed to play. It's more of the
Okay.
same, honestly.
Yeah, it's more like a high risk, high reward type of character.
Yeah, and now the risk is a
think
little
that's
higher
gonna
now that
remain.
your smoke runs out quicker.
Yeah, definitely still going to be primarily used for dashing in there and just causing mayhem or dashing out and keeping your
Yeah,
gun
pretty much.
alive, you know? That's so
Yeah.
dumb. We just played a slight side tangent, but we just played a match in CSL. It was against Musea? No. I don't remember who it was against. Oh, no, it was against GC, JU, GCNJ, something like that. I don't know. Something blue. 4 letters and then blue. And they, we beat them like 13-10. Or I guess this was Face It, not CSL. And NACCS. We beat them 13-10 on Bind. And Falcia top fragged his Jet. This was post update already, so it already had the change. This is why he was complaining. But it's still so absurd to me. We found their demo on one of their players' Twitches, and we watched it back, some of us, to see their perspective. It's just nothing they could do, because Falcia would go in, he'd get a kill, and he'd dash out, and they would just get so frustrated because they couldn't trade him. And I really feel for that, especially because, yes, the jet smoke duration is low now, but we were playing with a Brim and an Omen. So he would run in, get a kill, and then that area would be perpetually smoked off, and there was no chance for them to refrag. Like, they couldn't run in. So I definitely still feel for people playing against Jet, regardless of this nerf, and I definitely still understand why people would pick Jet. It's definitely still a good agent, I think.
Yeah.
Is there going to be any further nerfs to Jet? I mean, I don't know if
I wouldn't be
another
surprised,
nerf-
honestly.
That would be
but-
very interesting. Like, I feel like they already nerfed her knives. What else could they do? Like, if you nerfed anything, I mean, you can make her more expensive, I guess. I don't really know how you would bounce her. I
Yeah.
mean, I think she sits in a pretty good spot right now, honestly. Like, any
She's
further
definitely not
changes with
OP.
her, yeah, always overpowered. I
Yeah.
think she sits in a pretty good spot already. And this like smoke duration thing is just like a very tiny change that I don't think in the long run changes how Jet players
No.
play.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I guess just to wrap up the Jet talk, the only thing that worries me, I agree that she sits in a pretty decent spot, but if you have like, let's say you've got 5 really good players, right? You've got a really good Phoenix player, you've got a really good Jet player, you've got a really good Reyna player. If you have to like ult somebody to kill them, it's going to be that Jet. Like, even if they're all really good players, the Jet is the one that can just like get out free, that you cannot refrag. They're the only thing you can really do against them, I feel like, if you're playing against a good Jet, is to somehow use crazy utility. Which, I mean, to be fair, they only have one dash, so you could try to bait that out. You could play really smart, really slow, figure out how they play. But if you just want to take care of the Jet, you just have to use a lot of utility. And I don't love that about a character. I don't love that there's a character that is just like, you cannot kill them unless maybe you have a ping advantage or you're an F1 race car peak at LAN and you just rip Falcia's head off. Because like, I don't know what else you do against that.
It sounds like basically Falcia would get the first kill and just go. Like,
Yes.
it was a one and done situation. Like, there is no like refrag. You can't refrag that. Like, she's gone unless
The
you had
one time
Brim.
that they took
At
A
least had
easily,
Brim open up the sky right away.
that's
as she
exactly what it
dashes.
was. She was playing U-Haul. He was playing U-Haul with Jet, and we had like 2 other smokes on the site. So we had Brim and Omen also playing with him. And he would peek U-Haul, get a kill, and dash back out. The one time that they took site cleanly without using 3 smokes was when they ulted him out of U-Haul. That was the only time they took it cleanly without using 3 smokes and just smoking everything off. So I guess I don't love the mentality that you need to use heavy util if you're playing against a good player like that. Maybe I'm over exaggerating a little bit, and you need to do that against any good player with almost any agent. But I feel like Jet specifically, if you have a good Jet player, it's just so hard to deal with. So.
Right.
Just,
But we'll definitely
just
see
pure
that moving
movement,
forward.
Yeah.
And I guess while we're on
I'm
the
gonna
topic
look at
of,
the Twitch chat real quick.
oh yeah, no, go ahead. You want to answer his Killjoy setup guide?
You want to look at the Twitch chat?
I can see
Yeah,
it.
I mean, Dari's asking for the god KJ guide. Maybe. I mean, we are having a little segment about Killjoy in here a little later that we can.
Yeah, I think we'll get back to that one once we talk about the rest of Killjoy, maybe.
Yeah.
So I guess before we move on to a couple other things that we have to talk about, while we're on the topic of agents, just really quickly, do we think anything has changed with Yoru since last time we talked? Have we gotten more of a chance to feel him out, to play him? I don't think he's broken. Everybody last time we talked was like, this guy's absolutely busted, nerf him into the ground. I don't think he's that bad. I think
It
he's
depends on the
good.
player. It depends on
That's
the
true.
player. Yeah.
It also depends on the awareness of like your team for how Yoru works. Because it can definitely feel busted if every time you try to rotate, he's in your spawn. Just like TP'd behind you, nothing personnel kid. But I don't think... I think if you have that awareness, it's not that bad.
Yeah, it seems like Yoru isn't too big of a deal if now that people have kind of figured him out.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Euro players actually now, like when they do 5-man rushes, right? They send in their TP as they're rushing together, and as the enemy is like in contact with your teammates, he TPs behind them, so like they can't really turn around to shoot the Euro.
But I do an icebox.
Yeah, and it's really hard to take care of. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, I mean, it's going to be a learning process, right, as everybody adapts to Yoru. But, like, overall, I'd still say I'm way more scared of a really good Jet player, for example, than a really good Yoru player, honestly. Because I feel like you can deal with Yoru. You just have to have the mentality for it. You have to have the awareness. So, Okay, so the next thing for us to talk about, we mentioned a lot about Split. We probably should have done that after these, but we've talked about Split quite a bit, right? And how Split, I mean, a quick reminder for anybody that might not have known, going into this week, I mean, Split is still definitely either the most or second most hated map in the game, right? Like, people
Yeah.
dislike Icebox, but before Icebox was around, people really disliked Split. People would dodge Split queues every day. They only don't as much now because Icebox is what they dodge instead. So I guess the question now is, with these changes, what do we think? Do we think that changes where Split is in this sort of ranking of the best maps? And actually, that could be something really
Gotcha.
fun for us to do. Why don't we rank the maps and by which we think are good and which we
Ooh,
think are bad?
interesting.
And what do we think has changed with Split and Icebox since last time we talked?
Mm-hmm. That's gonna be very interesting.
That's a bit one-sided for me because I'm a Sova main. So
It's like,
That's
oh,
true.
can I get my arrow down right away? Yeah, that's map's already number one.
So what do we think? Okay,
Yeah.
let's work from the top, or should we work from the bottom up? What do you guys think?
Let's work bottom up. Let's do
Bottom
the
up,
all
bottom
right,
okay.
all right, all
So what do we
right.
think is the
So,
worst
like,
map?
Worst map, Steve.
I think Icebox.
You want to
Honestly.
flip the coin? So is it Split or Icebox?
No, I just hate Icebox. It's just awful.
Really?
There's too many angles to check. Like Omen, Jet, Raze, they could get on any box on the map.
Yeah. As an
There's too many
Omen
things
main,
to
I
check.
have a great time on Icebox. I don't know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
There's so many vertical like 50-50 angles that you have to just assume. You just have to guess and hopefully you're right and you'll die if you don't. get it
But overall, yeah, I
correctly.
definitely agree. I think I've gotten more used to Icebox and I've had a decent time mostly because of the way that I play. But I have problems with fundamentally how Icebox works. It's kind of like, I'll use Nuke and Counter-Strike as an example, right? The reason why Nuke plays so well in CS is because people have learned how to do crazy molly lineups from like T-spawn, and they molly top HUD, and they molly the rafters and smoke off heaven, because there's like these windows that you can pop open, and that's why it's reasonable. That's why you don't have to deal with these 50-50 angles everywhere. Not only are there more angles like that on Icebox, and there's an angle that can see like deep, basically into their spawn almost, like the entrance of A main with like that jet op, for example, on that box. But you also can't do those crazy lineups really, because I mean, there's a ceiling above everything. So it's not like you can line up things from spawn and then run in right after it like you can on Nuke. So I definitely have a problem with some of how verticality was executed there. I have a problem with the deep angle that people op in still. They tried to nerf it, but I still think it's quite absurd, honestly. And the other thing I have a problem with is tube. It's way too easy to just like jet wall that. Unless we come into a meta where people are like routinely buying an Odin and spending the first 20 seconds of the round shredding that the sage wall rather. I feel like it's just like a waste of the map. It's like, what are you supposed to do? Your options are either just rush A and pray you land the 50-50 to your left or to your right at top, like on the top angles. Or maybe you can like split from like under tube, but if they have good enough like Brim or like Omen players, they'll just smoke you off, and it just feels like there's so little wiggle room on Icebox.
Right.
It's just you go somewhere, and if you win the fights, you win the fights. If you don't win the fights, you pray that you'll win the fights next half.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's
Right.
just one of those maps, and I gotta put it at the bottom, honestly. It's like
yeah,
there are so many angles, but so few options. Why? You're right about tube. It's like, wow, the only time that you're gonna be able to get up tube is if there isn't a sage playing there. Honestly.
yeah.
Right.
And if you're going under the tube, well, good luck, because there are some crazy sight lines still.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossfires that just
So
the
many
defenders could hold.
crossfires. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're
I
playing against
definitely
a
don't
good
love it.
team, it's just tough. It's just tough.
Yeah.
So definitely at the bottom of all our collective lists, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna put these on a paint.net picture. We're gonna chart these. All right, let's
You're gonna
see.
rank them. All right.
Alright.
Yes.
So what would
So
be
let me pull
our
up a
next?
picture of Icebox here.
All right.
So you guys start talking about the next
while
one.
he's
What do we
doing
think is the
that,
next?
what is your next map here, Steve? That you would put
Ah,
just above this icebox place.
I mean, as a solo player, Split, but it's like Split and Haven are pretty similar for me, actually.
Really, just above
Some of Icebox, yeah.
just
For
above
me.
icebox.
It,
And
it's
why would you
both
say
both maps are such a struggle, especially Split. There's not a lot of well, Sova is there. Just I don't know. I just don't get a lot of value from them as much as like other maps such as
I think
Ascent
you're
or
right.
Bind.
the split arrows just aren't as good.
Right.
I
And
tend to agree.
also in Haven, there's like maybe 3 god arrows for each site that I use all the time, and those arrows, like once you use them like once or twice, the other team will find out and they'll just shoot it every time. So it's not really like really beneficial for Sova. So
Okay.
I would say Haven and Split are pretty similar, like down there for me.
I'm quite a fan of Haven.
That's
At
very,
least
very
like
interesting. Yeah.
conceptually, I like the idea of how Haven is
Yeah.
built. Better, I think it has better fundamentals than Split. Split just
Mhm.
it feels like there's so many stupid angles to me. It feels like there's so many like little corners and one ways and stupid stuff. It feels really really weird to me. Haven feels good at least. I mean, Garage is stupid in Haven, but the rest of Haven I think at least like makes sense. There's not as many stupid angles. Things are more clear. Things are more understandable, I think.
I do
More
hate A
linear.
short on Haven though. Oh, I hate A short. Worst part of the
I
map.
That is
I'm
true.
rather good at it actually. That's kind of my thing, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know you play Omen, you're just gonna get one kill, TP out. Huh?
Well, yeah, I either play close in my smoke with like an Odin, or I TP above and I smoke down. Every time I hear them close, I just smoke down.
That
And
is
as they
pretty
try to run
toxic.
out of the smoke, I shoot into it. It's really funny.
That is pretty funny. Yeah, as
But
a Killjoy
okay.
player, haha.
So in
Every
my
time
opinion, I
wanna
think
put my
Haven
ult-
is definitely better than Split.
Yeah, I think Haven is better than Split. I'd actually rank it relatively high. I think,
Me too, personally.
honestly, I think,
Okay.
So are we
yeah.
saying
So
Split is second to worst then?
I'd say Split is second to worst. Worst,
All right.
definitely.
Okay.
Not a plan. Pystrom says running into a full team is an essential part of the Valorant experience. Yeah, sometimes. And one of the plays that I actually like to do on Haven is, oh, we lost pistol round. Let's all rush short. Haha. And if we guess right, we shred them. If we don't, I guess we're playing retake on C and losing. So there's Split. Good old Split. I mean,
All right.
I've grown not to mind Split that much. I mean, it's not my favorite map, but I will play it. I'll tolerate it. Icebox, I will play it, but I will hate it. I at least enjoy my experience with Split.
Yeah.
On top of that, dude, I don't know. I Haven is the B team's best map, definitely. But is it my favorite map to play? I don't know. 3 sites, eh. I mean, it's
So
cool.
we've got
actually.
Bind, Haven, and Ascent.
If we're gonna go with maps that I enjoy playing the most, I think I really
Well, it's not
enjoy
necessarily what we
Binds.
enjoy the most. I
Binds
think
the
it's
best
like what we
map,
think is the
definitely.
best map. Yeah.
The best, most well designed. I don't know. I really like Bind, honestly.
I tend to agree. I'm gonna give a shout out to a very wise man in the chat here, Quantum. He
Quan-
says Ascent poo poo stinky. I think he makes a very good point there. That's quite good. Yeah.
That's
I don't think
very
I could have put it
interesting.
better myself, to be honest.
Well,
Ascent-
why do you think that? I mean,
Okay, so okay. Here's my logic, right?
right.
Somewhat seriously here now. I think that Ascent is actually not that poorly built of a map. I think it pretty much makes sense. Like, there's not that many stupid corners. You can kind of, you work your way around the map. It theoretically, like on paper, looks good, in my opinion. But I hate the way that it plays. And here's why. There's so many things you can do on Ascent that just cannot be countered very well by the defense, I feel like. And vice versa, there are many things you can do on defense that cannot be countered very well on the offense. Like, you've got that stupid Killjoy turret spot off, like, in the B, like, the defense
The B,
entrance toward
yeah,
B, like that
BCT.
headshot angle. Yeah, and then it just shoots in toward B. I hate that. What are you going to do? You're going to waste a smoke just for the turret. Like, if you smoke off spawn, it doesn't get the turret. So there's nothing you can do. It's stupid. Or, for example, for the attack side, we push Cat a lot as the A team. Every time we play a Sam, I'll run up Cat, somebody will play refrag on me. The only times we've ever gotten punished for that is when somebody swings wide on Cat and peeks top of mid. If we just have somebody be link, they can't do that either, which is typically what you'll do. You send like 2 up Cat, 1 be link, maybe like 1 lurking A, something like that. So effectively, you cannot counter a fast Cat push unless maybe you have like a Jet opping and they can get out really, really fast, but they're flashed and there's so little you can do. I have found that to be really effective too. So on the one hand, I feel like you have some strats that are broken for the defense, and you have some strats that are kind of broken for the offense, especially if you've got like Molly lineups, for example, for A, or you've got like, I don't know. There's just so much you can do
Silver
to
Dart
just throw
lineups,
things
yeah.
over the map. Yeah. So I don't like how it plays, but I don't think that theoretically, I don't think that
bad
on
map,
paper it's
yeah.
a bad map. So I would put
Honestly,
it kind of in
yeah.
the middle of the pack.
I would put it
I see.
above Split at least. Yeah, that's where it sits.
I'd
for
put
me.
it above Split. I agree, but I would
Oh,
put it
definitely, for
below
me.
everything else.
Yeah, I
I
think
see, I
so.
see.
And the thing with Ascent is mid control is hilarious. It's like mid control on defense is almost impossible to get, whereas it's pretty much free on offense. Like, oh, I'm just gonna run into mid. There you go. I have it. What is defense gonna do? Like, there's no really
Yeah.
good takes there. You can just take a very tentative, like, looking hold on mid, but there's not
Yeah.
much that you can do unless you want to get instantly doinked on the face.
Not to mention
Right,
that if
right.
you have any sort of sentinels in play on the attack, it's very difficult to get information as the defense on split. Because
Yeah.
you can't push B main without getting spotted immediately by a turret in like spawn or something. Or on that little, the
On the
little
hut
hut looking
thing.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't push A because there's just a quadrillion places that you can place turrets there too, and they'll just spot you immediately. So I know that that's the case for most maps where they just put turrets outside of those areas, but typically there's at least some sort of angle you can peek and get some information without like setting off some tripwire or some turret. I feel like that's almost impossible to do on Ascent, and mid doesn't help either. If they just smoke, it takes one smoke for the attack side to take total control of mid. That's kind of busted in my opinion as well. So
Yeah, and unless you have the entire team hiding behind that smoke, ready to burst out, I don't really think you're gonna take mid control.
Simple
yeah.
solution to information on Ascent, the Sova. It's a
Yes,
Sova.
they were saying that
Sova.
in chat, and I
Yes.
agree with that.
It is
That's
a Sova
powerful.
arrow.
But here's the problem. Maybe it's just that I haven't played against very good Sovas. To be fair, we play at a fairly high level, so I would like to think that they know what we're doing. But every Sova that I know people point that out a lot. They're like, oh, the Sova, on that's what everybody does on a side. It's pretty much a must pick, I think. Every Sova I've played against just does the exact same thing. They go B, they shoot their little arrow through the window, and then somebody shoots it immediately, and it's gone. And then 30 seconds later, they do it again, and then somebody shoots it immediately, and it's gone. And basically, it's just like, all right, who's going B main to shoot the Sova arrow this round? It's like, all right, I guess I'll do it. And then you go there and you shoot the Sova arrow, and then you leave and go do what you actually want to do in the round. So I get it. It definitely sounds theoretically like a good strat again. Like on paper, it feels like it would work, but in my opinion, like it just never works. So I don't know.
See, I mean, my games have been, I guess, fairly easy. I guess my opponents haven't really been noticing
They
my
can't
arrows,
handle
but
you, dude.
I
Well,
don't
so
know,
that's
man.
something else. Jorno Sasaki pointing out in the chat, he makes a good point. There are arrows that you can throw that just get like into their spawn, basically, as a Sova on defense, or get like pretty far up. So I guess that if you're a Sova that just knows crazy lineups and you know exactly what they're gonna do, like let's say against the A team, for example, we push Cat a lot. So maybe you could have a Sova that arrows deep A main every round to know if it's going to be a fast A split or not. That could be useful. Maybe there's definitely ways that you can play around that. But even if I was to concede, which I don't love because in my experience, like Sova has not worked that well on split. But let's concede that there are ways to make him work. That's still only like one guy you can use. Like the only other thing I can think of is like Sky, and then maybe you can throw her birds and have her say spotted or whatever. But I don't
Blinded.
love it.
Yeah, she says blinded, I think. I actually played Ascent with Sky as a meme, and it worked out.
I've done it before too. It's actually quite fun.
But, yeah,
But
it
anyway,
is
so that's
pretty
been my experience with Ascent. I think that there's just too much that you can exploit on both sides, and there's not enough way to get information as a defense.
Yeah, gotta agree. Ascent
It's just like all sound. It's all sound. I feel like.
Yeah, Ascent is
All right,
meh.
I'll give it to you guys.
I mean, at the level I'm playing at, it can be kind of free, like because people are just gonna group up and take a site. It's an easy flank a lot of the time, which is kind of funny. I mean, if you do that though, your team is kind of left to dry. So whatever.
Okay, so have we
Ascent
agreed?
right above splits, and that leaves us with Haven and Bind. Very interesting.
Okay, I'm going to let you guys go first on this because I've been talking a lot. I'm really interested in seeing what you guys think between these two.
Haven.
Because I
I'm
have
gonna
an
have to
opinion formed,
put-
but I want to wait.
All right, I'm gonna put Haven after Ascent, and then that naturally leaves Bind at the top. I think that
I agree.
Bind is honestly one of my favorite maps to play and one of the more well-constructed maps. Like playing Killjoy on any site honestly works, but I really enjoy shutting down B pushes here. You have a lot of options on both as an attacker and a defender to either wrap around or cut off flanks or whatever. And I mean that pretty much makes Bind my favorite map to play. And then there's Haven, I guess, which is strange. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Haven. I mean, it's one of the better maps, I'd say. Having 3 sites instead of 2 is a interesting gimmick to have. And I think it has enough options that on both sides that it's fairly balanced, but Garage is a little busted, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think this
hate
is
A
the one that
short.
we're all going to be in agreeing that we're all.
And
gonna
I
agree.
hate A short, first of all. It seems like no matter what I do, there's just gonna be some a short tomfoolery,
Hmm.
which is annoying to
Yeah.
deal with.
I think we're gonna agree on this one. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I guess the question then is I definitely agree, by the way. And I think that the question that remains then is, are we giving it this ranking when it comes to Haven and Bind just because we think Bind is so far ahead of the rest and that like Haven was like kind of not as good? Because in my opinion, Bind is like kind of far and away the best map in the game. There's a lot of
Yeah, I
I mean,
agree.
there's a lot of problems. It's not perfect. Like honestly, I think all the maps in Valorant are kind of disappointing in one way or another. Maybe it's just that I've gotten used to maps in other games like Counter-Strike, and so by comparison, these don't feel as good to me. But I really do think that Bind is by far the one that gets closest.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like there's just so much you can do, and I guess I can elaborate on that a little bit more in case Twitch chat has some thoughts as well. But for me at least, I feel like you can do a lot of aggression on Bind, both sides. There's a lot of angles that you can get without having to commit to a site on both sides. Like for example, an attacker, you could take hookah without committing to B. You could take B long without committing to B. You could take showers without committing to A. And if you take any of those positions, you can then very quickly commit onto the site without them being able to react in time, basically. You can do it way before utility and way before rotates. I like that. And then on defense, I feel like there's a lot that you can do too. Equally, you can push those same sort of like no man lands on
Yeah,
defense
showers
to get a
and
lot
long,
of info.
especially like
Especially with like an op, there's a lot that you can do there,
Mhm.
which I guess brings up the same kind of jet situation where you can just push up and dash out. It's definitely one of the more powerful maps for her, but nonetheless, I like that. And I think that what's cool about that too is that it's kind of shaped the 5 smoke meta, right? You do see somewhat often people running double smoke on
Bind, yeah.
on Bind. It doesn't happen all the time anymore, but with the Brim buffs and Omen is still fairly picked, I think you see Brim more often than Omen actually. And it's not super uncommon for you to see both. And that's actually what we were running last time that we played that map. Because there's just so much that you can do on both sides. I have a great time just like keeping A site permanently smoked with Optimum.
Yeah,
We just
still one of
smoke
my favorite ways
everything
to play.
forever.
Smokes.
Yeah, just forever. And then on attack, obviously, you can do crazy, like, you can cross the entire map, or the entire A site with Brim smokes, and then after those go down, you can immediately re-smoke, like, the mid sites with Omen, for example, to get, like, better post-plant positions. So I just really like how there's a lot that I feel like you can do with utility and without utility on Bind. Like, it feels like your play scales really well with utility, like, that you can do, like, executes with utility really well, but you don't necessarily need it. You can do like 2-man setups, crossfires, stuff like that. I almost just knocked over my water bottle. That would be bad. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Bind.
Wait, I shouldn't have said that. And
It's fine. I was talking over you. You're good.
very good. Yeah, honestly, Bind is just a good map.
Yeah, it's
Fairly
awesome
balanced.
for Sova arrow lineups.
Great Sova arrow lineups, I must
Yeah.
say. There's so
Yeah,
many awesome
so
Sova
many.
arrows.
Yeah.
And also awesome wallbang spots, especially in hookah. Looking through that wall, there's a cheeky thing that I like to do is I put my turret on the box behind the tube, and it'll shoot when there's somebody peeking that. And I'll play with an Odin.
That's such a
and
terrible angle.
I'll
I
watch
hate
the
that.
box. I'll watch the box in Haven because if you're behind that box, the turret can't see you, right? So I'm watching that box, but my turret knows if they swing out, and I know if my turret spots them there, I can wallbang wall, and I'm gonna get a kill easily. And it's so toxic, but so satisfying every single time.
Yeah, and I guess with that we pretty much wrap up our thoughts. So let's just recap. Icebox at the bottom because it sucks. There's
Right.
too much verticality and there's too much stupid stuff that you can do with like the Sage Wall that just negates an entire portion of the map that's supposed to be used for flanks and splits. And it just kind of feels not very good, man. So bad.
Yeah.
Then you've got Split, which despite Riot's best efforts, still sucks. In my opinion, at least, it's just because there's way too many corners and it just kind of feels really weird to try to take anything. Like there's too many one ways that can be done. There's too much utility that can be used to stop you, specifically Killjoy and Viper, for example. And it just feels breach as well. And it feels really hard to push past that, even if you have your own heavy utility setups. So it feels like more of an aim game, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
And you guys feel free to add any of these. We have Ascent in sort of like the midway, the sandwich of this this ranking. I guess the best way I can describe it is I don't like it, but it doesn't suck as much as the other two.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's
not,
here.
It's not like inherently flawed. The things I hate
Yeah.
about it are definitely mid control and lack of I don't know, just broken stuff that you can do on either side of
The
Yeah.
operator is very strong on that map. especially.
Yeah, it
operator. Yeah,
is.
I mean mid operator is basically like a go-to pick.
Yeah,
Um,
especially if you have a good operator.
definitely Missile just locking down mid lane there.
No, I have such a
Oh,
fun time on
Sasma.
defense just jump spotting mid for like 50
The
seconds at a
entire
time.
game.
Yeah, just I
Jump.
go to spawn and I jump up on the thing, I jump spot.
Yeah.
And my teammates are like dying across the map. I'm like, guys, mid's still clear.
Yep.
You need a
still
smoke?
clear.
Anybody need a smoke? 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 No? Alright, just keep jump spotting.
Mid link is a
Life
of a support player.
That's
Yeah.
also
Like, what can you do? So basically, Ascent is here because it's not great, but it's
Not
more great than the
terrible.
others that are really not great.
Also, I hate when
Um,
sages play defense on Ascent, just locking down either the B area and just wall slow orb. Huh? What are you gonna
Yeah.
do? You can't push on site. We know where you are.
That's
Honestly,
Dari's specialty.
same with any entrance, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
you're here. Yep. Oh, slow orb coming in.
But yeah.
Yeah, that is Dari's specialty, honestly, and it works in our favor. So I'm not gonna complain about that.
And then in second to the top, we've got Haven. We didn't really talk about Haven much. I think the general consensus is just like, it's all right. It's there. There's stuff that you can do on Haven. It doesn't really like, for me at least, I quite actually like the map. Like for me, there's a massive gap from Ascent to like Haven.
Yeah, I really like
Uh,
Haven compared to Ascent as well.
Yeah, like if Icebox is like a 0 and then Split is like a 1, Ascent is like a 3, Haven jumps up to like a 7 for me. Not that like a 10 is perfect, just that a 10 is the highest.
A
Like,
10
is bind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a massive gap for me at least from Ascent to Haven. And
yeah.
so okay, I guess we could just quickly before we move on to the last one, touch on that. What do you guys think about Haven? Like, what's your summary since we didn't talk about it that much?
I like Haven.
I can see the look of despair on Steve's face. He's
He's
just, "Oh, I don't
trying-
like it, but they like it.
don't
I have to
like
say
it.
I like
Man.
it.
There's nothing good about this
dude,
map.
I don't know,
You just
man.
don't like it?
Haven- I just feel so limited. Like I can't really
Yeah.
do much. I can't help out
Yeah.
the team as much as
As
I
a
want
Sova,
to,
it's hard.
especially for a Sova. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I tried to play Breach sometimes on that map. It works sometimes. Sometimes it never works. It's like a hit or miss type of thing for me for Haven.
I get that.
It's
Okay.
a killjoy.
It definitely does. It
it's
feels
alright.
Honestly though, I can appreciate like a simpler kind of map in the game. I think you're kind of limited because the map is fairly simple. There's not that many stupid angles. There's not that many stupid corners. It's mostly just you know what you're getting into. You know where they're going to be holding. Basically, it's just about how can you best like advance. And as defense, it's like how can you figure out where they're going and put your utility up the best, I guess. So I appreciate that it's a bit simpler. It doesn't require as much stupidity. Like if you compare, I almost want to pull it up now. I'm gonna pull up and compare the. I'm not gonna do that. That's too much work. But just like in your mind, like compare the layout of like Icebox with the layout of Haven. It's so much simpler, or even Split, and I really appreciate it. I really
It's
appreciate
like
how it's just
5 lanes
straightforward.
basically. You have 5 lanes where
Yeah.
basically teams are gonna be likely to meet if they're trying to contest them. That's Haven.
Yeah,
Yeah, with Icebox, it's basically a mess. It's basically real life.
yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we can pop up from anywhere. Yeah.
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 And then at the top we have the one and only Bind. It's a picture of
Best
old
map
Bind?
in the game.
No, that's still how it looks, right? Yeah, that's still the same.
Oh no, Bind still looks like Bind. I don't think
Yeah.
there
I
have
I don't
been
think it's been
any
changed
smart
really, right?
I mean,
No,
it's
no
a good
changes.
map, and I mean, I think like
That's how you
every
know
map
it's good.
sorta- Yeah, I mean, every map sort of has its gimmick, and Bind's gimmick is no mid, but they use
And
a telly
teleporters.
instead, which is great actually. It opens up options for both offense and defense, and I honestly just think it works. Like a map without a mid, like look at all these other maps. They have a mid. Like
Yeah.
what is mid control? It's like kind of everything for some of these maps. But
This
with
is
Bind
something
here,
I
you
just
don't
want
need
to
it.
point out as
There's
well
no
that's
mid.
super interesting. I remember back at the start of the game, everybody was like everybody that came over from Counter, they were like 3 sites, teleporters? Yeah, okay. And everybody was like these maps suck because there's these stupid gimmicks. And yet we ranked those 2 as the highest 2 on our list. And the 3 that are kind of more standardish looking and there aren't as many gimmicks like that are at the bottom.
And
So
Icebox just sucks. That's
I
it.
didn't really realize that until now, but I honestly don't mind the gimmicks anymore. I've kind of gotten used to it. Like the TPs, they just
I
feel
think they
natural
work.
to me. Like, it
They
makes sense.
actually,
Yeah,
actually just work.
definitely.
And I think
Yeah.
maybe some of these maps need a gimmick, like Ascent. Like what's its gimmick? I guess the door switches. The doors.
Oh, that's true. There's that.
I mean,
It
yeah.
just sucks, dude.
doors.
I just
it's
hate
not
Ascent.
that great. What does Split have? The rope, vent rope. I don't really know what Split has honestly. that
Split
makes
is
it
just like
Split is just
I don't know. Dust
split.
2, but worse.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know,
then
it's just
a
bad.
lot
Icebox-
worse.
Icebox
A lot
is
worse.
just open. Like Icebox is just mirroring real life.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah, I don't
we're
love
just
it.
gonna build a beautiful map. Oh, will it play well? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I feel that.
definitely. They have to add changes to that map, like fast, please. Like more changes.
Yeah, I mean it's an
Something needs
instant
to
ban
change.
in CSL. Like, has a single team not banned Icebox?
I have not got. We've wanted to play Icebox, but it just gets permabanned like immediately.
Yeah, it's been permanently
Nobody likes
banned.
Icebox.
I'm thinking our team should change that.
Yeah, we like it too. I see
We hate
JDC in the
Icebox,
chat.
but we are
We like
going
it
to
too.
play it.
No, we gotta make strats then, huh?
We gotta
You guys
make
want to do an
strats
A
for it.
team versus B team friendly Icebox?
Broken strats. It's like Viper, and then like
Yes.
permanently just
Yeah, we
Yeah,
should
yeah,
do,
you
like,
know,
a
you do
scrimmage
double
like-
smoke, right? You do double smoke and then
smoke,
triple
Viper.
sentinel. You're done.
double smoke, triple.
Sorry,
sentinel,
sorry.
like,
Yeah, double smoke, Viper, and then like 2 sentinels of
Two
your choice.
sentinels.
Yeah.
something really broken. Like just Sage, slow everything down. Oh, just lock down that tube. Killjoy.
That's
just
so
deny
absurd.
area hard.
I'm actually kind of trying to think about this. Could that I know we're kind of memeing, but would it be viable to just like bet on winning the defense 12-0 by just smoking everything, walling off like tubes so they can't go there?
I mean, you'll never know if you don't try, and all you have to do is win once on offense, right?
Because you can
Just win
theoretically
once.
exactly. You can theoretically smoke off basically all of B with one smoke, right? Because you just need to smoke deep enough and you have somebody kind of pushed up like holding the angle, right? So one smoke goes towards B. With A, they can peek from above, but they're not really going to all push from above. So you can basically smoke off lower and just don't peek up so you don't give them a
Yeah.
pick. And then you wall off tube and somebody smokes mid. So you need 3 smokes going at once. The wall is permanent. And then you still have Sage slows to play with. If you have 3 Brim smokes and 2 Omen smokes and you have Viper, it might actually be viable to keep the entire map controlled at once.
You know what?
Because of that
Maybe-
stupid Sage wall. The Sage wall is
Here's
what
the
ruins
thing.
everything. That's what's supposed to be the rotator. That's what's supposed to be your out. If you can be a really well executed team, you can push that tube. You can split them. You can have a lurker go up there.
Yeah,
Not with that
but the
stupid
Sage
Asian.
wall just destroys everything.
Yeah. there's
Here's the
nothing you can do
thing,
about it.
though. Imagine if Riot. Okay, this is gonna be crazy. You guys are not gonna.
Let's
expect
hear
this.
it. Let's
Ready?
hear it.
Imagine
ready.
if there were buffs to certain agents and certain maps, or debuffs. Imagine.
Oh
dude.
boy.
Imagine if Sage got stronger on Icebox, or like Cypher got stronger on Bind, or like Brim got stronger on Bind. It's like his smokes now last 5 seconds longer. His molly now does like 10% more damage.
I don't know. That one.
I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't play.
I don't know.
I
about
wouldn't
that
play the
one.
game
Yeah,
anymore.
Sage
I wouldn't
walls
play the
now
game anymore,
allow
too.
to have twice the health.
Dude,
on
I would not
Icebox.
like. I think it would just lead to even more permabanning of those maps.
Oh,
Basically,
no. That'd
be
everybody
hilarious.
but those agent mains would permaban the map immediately.
That would be hilarious. And Quantum is saying, oh, JDC 1337 asked what the ranks on A and B team are. Quantum is right. A is high
Yeah.
plat. B is like, high diamond.
High plat.
Sorry for dissing you guys. High diamond, and B is around plat average, I believe.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's like a huge gap. Like we have like a bunch of different ranks in our team.
Yeah, we're,
Yeah.
we're kind of like the ragtag team. We're like the neighborhood like basketball team. Like like you just go to the park sometime. There's like a bunch of guys there, and then there's like Steph Curry, and then everybody else. Yeah, it just happens sometimes.
I
That's
mean, honestly,
basically
the
what
A
the
team
B
has
team
some
is.
pretty massive rank difference too. It's just like even though our ranks are really different, 4 of us play very similarly, and then there's Daniil. So it's basically like 4 of us just do our roles, and anybody can pop off at any moment, basically, except for me because I just always run in first and die. And then Daniil is just always top fragging regardless.
Yeah.
So it's like some order of the
crazy.
3 in the middle, Daniil at the top,
Yeah.
me at the bottom, every time.
Yeah, so there's a
So-
little bit more of a lively discussion in Twitch chat right now. Dari is saying that some B team players are higher ranks than A team players, which is actually true.
He's
I
higher ranked
think-
than me right now, I think.
Yeah, I think we actually went over this on another stream, but like Dari and Bobber could have possibly been sniped for the A team.
Okay, do you want me to pull up the logs? I've got chat logs of this conversation
Oh
happening.
boy.
If Falsia's
boy.
watching, he knows. He was in that group chat. It was me, Phillip, Quantum, and Falsia, and we were just talking about it.
Yeah, it was the second tryout.
Well, so back then,
Darius got me.
okay, keep in mind this, right? So here's leak, all right, leaked. All right. So
right.
so it was back when, if you remember, like maybe 2 months ago of Valorant, the game was really centered around Sova. you would Sova arrow, and then everybody else would just like run up and just like go kill basically. So we really felt like we needed a Sova on the A team. This was right after we had like lost to Stevens Ducks or whatever. It was during the tryout, so it must have been what, like October,
Yeah,
maybe.
I'd
Yeah,
say
something like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, like mid-October.
'Cause,
And
yeah,
we were like, we
Both
need a
teams have only
Sova.
played a few games.
Yeah, we need a Sova. My role is basically like immovable. I am just a forever Omen, I guess. Unless Omen gets so out of meta that Optimum becomes a forever Brim, and then I can play something else finally, or retire. So it was basically like nobody's role can change. Daniil is just always going to be the run in and frag man. Like
Well, he wasn't
everybody
there
else just has
yet,
their roles.
right?
He's crazy.
Yeah. So it was basically like we need a Sova. So we really wanted a Sova, and we didn't want to switch anybody else off their rules. So we were really tempted to do like a massive team reshuffle and get BFK in as the Sova. It's worked out as we've done it, but that was definitely a possibility at
But
the
now
time.
we have.
Yeah, but my ping is also really high in every single game that I play, so that's
Yeah.
a huge
Yeah, me
Don't
too.
worry,
That's why I
dude.
bottom frag every game. Yeah, my
Yeah.
ping. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
unfortunate.
it's
It's my
alright.
ping. Yeah.
Don't worry. I mean, this is what you
okay.
can do with
It's actually
like
a little
80
cold in my room. It's the windows open.
I
There's
don't
a
know, man. Playing for
breeze.
California.
I'm from
I don't
California.
know. Playing for
Like,
that's
California on
crazy,
East
dude.
Coast servers.
Now that
Yeah,
I-
that actually
now
sounds
that-
terrible.
man.
Now that we have BFK on, I get to what is it called? Appraise him. Yes, like I do with
Oh,
all the
please.
players on this. Dude, you're cracked clearly, and also
Sure.
playing with
Thank
80
you.
ping and still top fragging is hilariously good. So honestly, having a Sova on the team is so awesome. It's
Yeah.
just been fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Man,
Yeah,
we've
it's
like
always fun to play with you guys.
Dari and BFK smoked Immortals earlier. Woo, you guys are getting stuff done.
Oh, dude, Dari was carrying earlier, dude. I couldn't do
yeah,
anything.
yeah, I'm glad I
That
had you guys
team-
on the
dude,
team.
okay, but let's like for real now, just for a second. Ranks in Valorant right now mean nothing, right?
They are
like-
so
Yeah, that's
scuffed
true.
all over.
It's so
they're
scuffed. Like, okay, like
completely all over
before,
the
everybody used to say like, you know, Immortals are just like mid plats that played more, right? That's like somewhat true. It's like a little true. But now, okay, okay. Let me rephrase that just in case I did tilt some Immortals in the chat. There are like, I would say like 50% of the Immortals are just like way better than like Diamond and Plat players because they just have like that aim that Raw carried them. And then the other 50% are just like Plats that played more, basically, I think. With that said, ranks right now like mean nothing because the ranking system is so busted. And I don't know. I know that we have a tweet that I can pull up of one of the developers of Valorant talking about how they are planning on making some changes moving forward, possibly next week or something, to try to
Yeah.
fix this. But what do you guys think?
I think they
Thanks,
have to
dude.
fix it. It's like it's so
I
bad.
mean,
like,
yeah, they have.
I mean, Dario was mentioning to me early today when I was playing with him. He was like, "Oh yeah, dude, I've been playing like in some of my games. I've had Radiant players, like last act Radiant players in our team, but like they're only like Diamond, and we're playing against them, and they're in our team.
Yeah.
So it's like we get hard carried or we just get destroyed by the enemy team. So it's like the ranking system's absolutely just bugged. It's bad.
It's getting it's kind of not in a great
Yeah.
place.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of the same for me. It's either I get a team that literally cannot play together, and I have to be the entry. And like, there's just a Phoenix, you know, he's doing his Phoenix thing, and not peeking, not flashing, not using his utility. And then there's me entering as a Killjoy. Or I get a team that is completely on its game, and we are coordinating pushes like no tomorrow, and it just
Yeah.
sucks.
Right.
It's like it's
That's when you have
honestly,
to add
like-
friends.
That's why you got to play with other people, pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I solo queue a few times because I like to put my rank in the fate, like in the hands of the gods, you know. But I mean,
Yeah.
just playing with like one or two other people just makes the experience a little better because at least you can rely upon those the people that you're playing with, like that you're queuing with, to actually get stuff done.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, I mean, maybe my experience isn't the best because I've lost like 25 out of my last 30 games. I've been having a really good time in Valorant recently. Definitely didn't
Oh,
derank
boy.
like 3 ranks in a span of like 2 days. Anyway, but I will say the fact that we are going up against these like Immortals, these high plats or high diamonds rather, or even some Radiants sometimes, and in my opinion at least, not getting totally smoked by them kind of shows how the gap isn't as large as people think. It's not like back when you used to play CS or something and you'd have like a global smurf or like a high face it rank smurf in like your MG2 lobby and they would just obliterate you. Like you get like a really high level like CS player, they will drop 40 and they will win. It does not matter how bad of a team they have. They will 4K an entry every single round. And even if they lose, it will be 16-14 and they will have dropped 45. that doesn't really feel like it happens as much here. Even if you go up against like a Radiant or an Immortal that was that rank previous act, and now they because of this ranking system is kind of lower, it doesn't really feel like you get destroyed as much. It feels like you can definitely stand a chance, at least in my opinion. So I don't think the gap is that big. And that's a true statement as well in the chat by JDC and Dari commenting on it. You can also only solo queue, I think, now as Immortal, right?
It's
because
duos.
Immortal is basically Radiant. So
It's solo or duos, yeah. And yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like to add up on that point, Gabe. I think Valorant is a harder game to like hard carry in, honestly.
yeah,
Like if I'm on the top of the leaderboard, I know something's wrong. I really know something's wrong. And I'm definitely not winning that game. Like I feel like everybody on the team needs to at least kind of be playing their role for you to actually win.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that part of the reason for that too is just that you can be a hard carry and still die to abilities in this game.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
it's-
simply to just someone using their abilities well. If you get breach flashed and some guy swings, you're just dead. Unless maybe you're a jet and you happen to be able to dash. There's so little that's part of my problem why I don't like Valorant as much as I like Counter-Strike, honestly. It just feels like there are some abilities that I don't know, unless you're playing on like 1600 DPI and you can flick away from that breach flash faster than I can,
you just
you just
getting
can't do
caught.
anything about it.
I mean, it's just you can't dodge it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
I guess,
maybe
yeah,
that's why.
it just leads to a different mentality in the game, honestly. And it's something that I've noticed when I play CS. I think a lot about myself and how, like, what impacts that I personally have, like, in the game, getting frags, smoking
Yeah.
something off, rushing through, pop flashing myself in. In Valorant, it seems more tricky to do that. I mean, I'm playing Killjoy. I can't pop flash myself in. I need
Yeah.
to rely on my teammates to do some things, honestly.
Right.
Which is why
Um,
I kind of adapted my mentality to just be like, no,
You
I'm
wanna
not going to
be-
rely on my
yeah.
teammates to do anything. I'm going to run in and you are going to refrag me. And I don't care if I don't have a flash, I will swing. And if I die, then either there's not going to be a jet there anymore because she dashed, or you're going to kill her because I know you're better. So that's just how I play, at least. And that's, I don't know, maybe part of the reason why it's almost justified to have me on the A team.
Yeah, well, I guess I got to switch to Euro if I want to get anything done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure, for
Speaking
sure.
of those flashes, though, the breach flashes, like, you could turn around from them, but it's like very little time. What I don't really like about other flashes, such as sky flashes and Euro flashes, is that, like, even though you look away, you still get flashed.
Dude,
It's
those
like,
are so dumb. It's
I'm
so
just
dumb.
like,
have to
how
actually
does that make sense?
You have to be behind a wall for them not to flash you.
Yeah,
Like, what?
that doesn't make
I
sense.
tried
to
it in
me.
the range too. I would throw my Euro flash in the training range, look behind me, and still get flashed.
Yeah.
No,
It's-
that is
it's really
broken.
Guys,
dumb.
amateur hour. You have to have a hotbind that will DDoS yourself, so your ping gets so high you teleport across the map and dodge the flash. So yeah, I actually have that as my space key. Every time I jump, I
Yeah.
teleport.
Don't take,
really
don't
cute.
tell CSL.
No, they don't know. It's fine. It's
No,
fine.
they don't know, right?
Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so I have to say as well now, it is around 6 p.m. We have been going for an hour already and did
How
not
do we
cover
talk
half the
so
things that
long?
we wanted to cover.
How do we? Oh, do you want to
Oh,
speed
boy.
around this and talk about how I'm using?
Well, I feel like we just
Killjoy?
save it for next time, right? Because
Yeah.
most of this is still going to be relevant, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there won't be a lot of changes in the next 2 weeks, I think.
No.
Nah, you
and
say
we've
that
talked
and
about
they
the big,
drop
like,
20
pressing
new
things.
agents.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we have a new agent. Oh, we basically changed the entire way that Vipers played. Oh, oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Cypher's now more powerful than ever.
We actually converted every one of the League of Legends champions into an agent in Valorant. You're welcome.
No
Oh.
way.
No, but okay, so I think with that we're kind of ready to wrap up. We've hit the hour mark. We've talked about the 2.01 patch notes, the jet smoke decrease, although somewhat briefly. Sorry, Falsia. It only really impacts you, mate. And honestly, you're still destroying people. So I don't really change as
sorry,
much.
dude.
And
Just 'cause
Missile too.
chat's
How's
saying
Missile
it-
feel about that, by the way?
I
Do
haven't
you
talked to him
know?
about it yet, but I'll definitely get his
Okay.
opinion. Maybe we can hop on to that for next time we get on to Showstopper. I wonder
For
if the
sure.
Twitch chat is bopping here. Say
They're
hi if
talking
you
a
can
little
hear
bit.
me, boys. I mean, we got 16 people in the stream right now. It's pretty huge.
Good.
This is the
Pretty good.
most amount of concurrent viewers we ever had.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah, you gotta
Nice.
milk this, dude.
Yeah.
You have to milk this.
Sorry, guys. No autographs today. No autographs today. There's just too many of you. We can't handle it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Gabe
but,
actually doesn't know how to write.
I
That's
don't.
why he's a
I
business
only
major.
know how to write in Portuguese, so I can't give you my autograph. That's how it works. Yeah. I only know how
Nice.
to autograph in Spanish. No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And, as a quick reminder, boys, we will be having another one of these episodes bi-weekly. So that means next week there won't be an episode, but the week after that, you better bet your butt that we're going to be on stream at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Which will be February 10th, by the way, in case
That is
anybody's
true.
wondering.
That is
February
true.
10th,
And
5 p.m. we
BFK
will be
is
here.
handsome. BFK is handsome, Dari.
That
Oh,
is also
boy.
true.
Every
Actually, we
single
can
one of
thank
our
you.
guests
Thank you.
have been strikingly handsome. It is just
Yes.
it's a symptom of being a showstopper.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
And part
That's
of
actually
the
how
team.
we pick guests. Sorry, we forgot to tell you guys. We picked them based on that.
Yeah, we pick
Oh,
them
yeah.
totally based on looks.
So, all right. So
mean,
I
if
think
you're-
we're pretty much ready to wrap up then. Thank you for coming out again, Steve. It was great to have you as a
No
guest, man.
problem.
It was
Very
fun,
fun.
dude. And we
Yeah,
got
no,
to
this
rip
was
on
a great
every single
episode.
map in the game. So hey.
It was really fun. This was really
First
fun. It
time
did not
face
go-
reveal.
Dude, actually,
Good
that was
job.
huge. I did not see this one coming. But
Yeah, I didn't even know. Dude,
Listen.
I don't even know half of the people's like on my team what their actual first name is. I do now.
I found that so funny. In the chat, like Quantum posted a screenshot, right, of your guys' roster on CEA. And it had everybody's last name except Dari. Dari is just Dari. And I was like,
It's
oh,
just
poor
Dari.
guy. Doesn't have a last name, unfortunately.
Yep.
So anyway, we will go ahead and wrap up now. Thank you again, Steve, for coming out. Phillip, as always, thanks for being here. This has been the Collegiate Valorant Podcast, Showstopper from the BU Gaming Club. I'm your host, Gabriel Moncau. Have a good night, everybody.
Now we're down to just 2 players with a bomb down.
Falsey finding 3, 4. Will we see the ace from Falsey this round?